Hello everyone, this is going to be a very casual video where I talk about some of the different upgrades I've done to my video game room. It's still a work in progress, but it got to a point now where I can finally start enjoying some of the upgrades. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. So in case you haven't seen it before, here's what my video game room looked like before the renovation. And here's what it looks like now. As you can tell, I've painted the walls red. It's a dark red, it's flat, and I put on 2 coats. I also painted the baseboard. It was a massive undertaking. I had to pull the setup away from the wall. In order to do that, I had to put sliders underneath the setup so I could slide it across the carpet. That exposed the back of the setup, which is pretty ugly looking. It had a lot of dust, and of course it had a lot of wires as well. There was barely enough room to get everything done. I didn't want to slide the systems out of the room. I wanted to keep them in there as I worked. I also had to carefully cover them up to keep paint from getting on them as I painted. So overall, I love the red. It's exactly what I wanted it to look like, although it is a lot darker. So in order to do these videos, I have to have a lot of lights on for you guys to see things. I'm fine with that though. A dark room is a perfect place to play video games in. In addition to the walls, I also worked on the floor. I used to have just a plain wood floor showing, and then years ago I put carpet tiles in the room. I used black and gray ones. Over time, I grew to dislike the black ones simply because they show dirt and cat hair very easily, and I kinda didn't like the stripe pattern. So I pulled up the black ones and installed gray ones. Now the gray is not an exact match of the previous gray, which doesn't surprise me, but overall it gives it a nice pattern. There's 2 windows in this room, which I like to hide, so I bought curtains that almost match the red that's on the wall. In order to play online gaming, I didn't want to have to go through Wi-Fi. I wanted an Ethernet cable up here. Before, I had to snake it up the stairs and into this room through the doorway. But since I was doing a remodel, I decided to cut into the wall and pull the Ethernet cable up through the wall. Since it was my first time doing anything like that, it got a little messy in here. But in the end, it turned out very nice. Also, in the past few months, I bought 2 gaming chairs, along with 2 ottomans. These gaming chairs are not quite as comfortable as the recliners I had in here, but those recliners just took up too much room, and they were hard to adjust. Having these gaming chairs frees up a lot of room and gives me the ability to quickly move from one point of the room to the other. Those big recliners, I was able to slide them, but I was afraid over time it was going to damage the carpet. The red ottomans are very comfortable and you can store things inside of them, and they were very cheap. Along the wall, I now have framed posters. I used to have a lot of posters that were taped on, but I decided to go with fewer of them, and the ones I do have, I framed them, obviously. Some of these posters are new, the Contra 3 one, the Metroid one, and the Blaster Master one. Now, I'm not quite sure if it's the best look. The longer ones tend to go behind the setups, so you can't hardly see the entire poster, but I'm just gonna go ahead and stick with it. The biggest upgrade of this entire room is the TV. I used to have a 42-inch, but I've upgraded to a 49-inch. I had to actually adjust the shelf height in order to fit it in. It is a 4K TV, and it also has component inputs, which is very important since I have 4 systems that output component. A lot of modern TVs no longer have the component inputs. The main reason for getting this TV though is the low input lag. According to online sources, the lag time is 11 milliseconds. The older TV I had somewhere between 30 and 48 milliseconds of lag, and that's in game mode as well. Every time I played on that TV, I could feel the lag, no matter what system it was. So hopefully I can play games better and get more enjoyment out of them. I know for sure when I play Killzone Shadowfall, the reaction time I have has improved and has resulted in better performance. And that in itself is reason enough to get this new TV. I also bought some new consoles, well, new to me anyway. I now have a Zavix port. I might be mispronouncing that. That's a system that's kind of like the Wii. You play with big plastic controllers, and it actually predates the Wii. I also bought a Hyperscan. This is a card-based video game system. I also have a white PS4 Pro that replaced my black regular PS4. I also bought a VR helmet. And I also have an Xbox One X, a white one, which replaced my black launch day edition. Since I anticipate more HDMI devices on my setup in the future, I bought a new HDMI switcher. You can attach up to 7 game systems on it. The problem with it is that when I'm playing Killzone, it cuts off momentarily. I think it's when it's switching resolutions in the game. I never had that problem with the Kenevo one I was using before. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to return this switcher because I don't want games to cut out. Since I have 3 HDMI inputs on the TV, I might just go with 3 of the Kenevo switchers. I already have 2 of them. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is the component input box that I used to have on my setup. I have now removed it, and I've instead set up a system of plug and play. Whenever I play one of my component systems, I just plug it into these inputs right here underneath the TV. The box I used to use had some problems. Sometimes it just wouldn't work. Also, the connectors on the back were really close together, meaning whenever I had to plug or unplug things in, it was hard to get my fingers in there. Plus, it took up room on the setup. This plug-and-play setup also makes it easier to record footage from the game systems. I can just plug them directly into my Elgato. Before, when I had to record one of the component systems, I had to unplug them from the back of the box and then plug them into the Elgato. So this simpler design works very well. That's all I had to cover today, so I hope you enjoyed me talking about all the things I've done. This room is not 100% complete, so I'll update you more in the future. See you around.